Big exciting news to start the new morning. As Mitch McConnell says, a second stimulus package and check needs to get out. This is amid renewed negotiations between Steve and Nancy commencing today. Also, Wall Street is trading up higher on renewed optimism that they think a second stimulus package is going to get approved imminently. What are my thoughts? My opinions are a second stimulus package is coming to you quite soon. This is Morning's LALATE. Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Friday morning and a week in which, everything has gone left and right, and we're ending on a positive note. As stimulus negotiations resume and a call for stimulus approval is being pushed left and right. Go to the Funniest Channel, subscribe. Good morning and good morning. It's a great morning and a lot of great details. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering. I'm here, you're here. Your alpaca, your dog, your llama, your bat. Well, not your bat. Your dragon and your peacock, and also like this video. Today I'll be having incredible details for you in a video in which you should be very excited for. There's incredibly great news, and I will be giving you my opinion of the situation as well. You've already heard a teaser in the starting opening of this video. Let me get to the breaking details. In this video I'll be covering for you, coming up in this video, first, new calls for stimulus approval. Coming from who else? Mitch McConnell. Minutes before I sat down to record, Mitch McConnell gave a statement to Reuters. I'll be going over to that statement next. I'll be going over what Wall Street's doing this morning, what Wall Street thinks about the stimulus negotiations. Really quite interesting. Third, I will be going over what the president will be seeing in reaction to renewed stimulus talks and why this might be sort of pushing the envelope in a very positive direction. Fourth, I will go over what went on in the last 24 hours and why you need to understand that today is a little bit different. And it's a great day to start the morning. All right, let's get to the breaking news. There is great news across the board. And what I want to start with is, ironically, my opinion. And I don't always do this, but I want to do it today. My opinion is you're going to get a stimulus package. Absolutely, I believe you're going to get a stimulus package. You're going to get a stimulus check. You're going to get FPUC. My reserved opinion, however, is I'm not exactly clear what date it is. And here is really where the chatter is this morning. As the new day starts on a Friday morning, Wall Street analysts, Middle America, Main Street America, all really believes the stimulus package is going to get approved. But they're having confusion of whether it's going to get approved next week, this weekend, before the election, after the election. There's so many different choices of when it can get approved that no one seems to have a real clear understanding of it. And that's sort of my opinion at the moment. I absolutely categorically believe you're going to get a stimulus check, and I think you're going to get a stimulus package. The question is what date. Let me get to the other breaking developments this morning. First, Mitch McConnell was interviewed by Reuters minutes ago. He says a stimulus package is needed right away. Now, what's great about that comment is he did not qualify the type of stimulus package. He didn't say, very narrowly tailored or, just has lobster in it. He didn't do one of those things. He just says stimulus package needs to be done right away. But the remainder of the quote, the interview said, I don't think it's going to happen for a couple of weeks. Interesting. This is a man who's closed the Senate to, October 19th? And so that is clearly in line with where things are in the Senate. That was his remark. Second, Wall Street. Wall Street is opening in its highest numbers since September 3rd this morning. And this is very important, not necessarily for you directly, but indirectly. Why? Because the president pushes stimulus negotiations based upon what's happening on Wall Street. And this is what's happening on Wall Street this morning. One, stocks are at their highest level since September 3rd after 2 months, well, a month and a half, of very bad movement. Stocks have been down. They've been down across the board, 5%, 6%. Today, everything is up 6%, including transportations, airlines, including travel and leisure, hotels. It's the best opening for the stock market since the first week of September. Second, in the last 2 weeks, corporate earnings have come in, and all those corporate earnings have beat Wall Street estimates, beat them. They're higher. And they didn't just beat them by the usual 5 or 6%, they beat them by 20%. Now, you can take this two ways. Here's analysis. You can take this two ways. One, the president will say, hey, what I've done has worked. Or two, you could take it the Larry Kudlow way, which is, well, it worked, and we don't have to really rush to do stimulus because everything is floating appropriately. This is what I've been talking about over the last few days about bifurcation. And ironically, Jim Cramer spoke exactly what I've been talking about over the last 2 days this morning on CNBC. He said, you know what? Wall Street doesn't reflect Main Street America. Main Street America, people are losing their jobs, losing their homes, need money, stimulus right now. And if a corporate publicly traded company beats their earnings estimates by 20%, that has no reflection on what mom and pop on Main Street America are going through. And he's exactly correct. But there's a qualifier to that, and he would co-sign what I'm about to say to you as well, that the president doesn't look so much to you anymore, even though he was elected on his platform looking to you. He's looking to Wall Street as the indicator of what he's doing and the sense of urgency to get it done. The president, let's go to the third point. The president, in a new report overnight, which I detailed on Evenings LA very late last night, reportedly made a move to restart negotiations today based upon the spook that he suffered when Wall Street crashed when he called off negotiations. The day that he was tweeting that he called off negotiations, he saw an instant drop in the stock market and an intense backlash to his tweet, says Axios in a news report overnight. The president was spooked by it, says the news report. And the president called House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy and said he's very worried that the stock market doesn't like his ending of negotiations. And during that chat with McCarthy, who of course he was tweeting that day, you saw him tagging McCarthy, he said, you know what? We need to do a big deal. We need to do a big stimulus package, not a narrowly tailored one, not a cheap one, just $1 trillion. We need to do a big bill and do it right away. And that went beyond the scope of all chatter just hours earlier, that maybe we'll just do a standalone bill for the airlines. Maybe we'll just do something narrowly tailored. That large-scale proposal is what caused a lot of confusion. President Trump reportedly regretted canceling the negotiations and sending out that tweet, and ultimately believed he had made a strategy decision that was an error at the time. And that's why on Fox Morning News yesterday he said, look, we're not getting anywhere, shut it down, I don't want to waste time, but in any event we got it back. Both sides are very capable. He's complimenting Nancy Pelosi? Yes. We got back and we're starting to talk again. And we're talking about things bigger. We're doing a deal of $1,200 and things have progressed very positive. Well, they hadn't by that point. But what President was doing at that point was trying to be sort of personable and complimentary to Pelosi to get her back in. Why was that important? Well, apparently, at the time that this was erupting, here's a second report from CNBC. Pelosi was very confused. She got a phone call from Mnuchin at the time, and Mnuchin says, how about a narrowly tailored bill? And Pelosi's like, I just saw the president on TV talking about a broadly scoped bill. Then Mnuchin called out back hours later and says, okay, we're doing broad scope bill. And then Pelosi said, I just saw the president on TV saying something narrowly tailored. Bottom line is Pelosi and Wall Street and you and I were all very confused by the president going no stimulus, narrow stimulus, broad stimulus, narrow stimulus. And ultimately, it has turned into a lot of a hot mess express unto itself. Wall Street, here as it starts the new morning, and you should as well, believes that we are back on track for stimulus negotiations. One, that the stimulus negotiations will be broad. Two, talks of narrowly tailored airline standalone, anything standalone is going to be sitting alone because apparently that is off. That is gone. There is no more of that stand alone, sit alone, dance alone, tango alone stuff. It's all gone. Fourth, this is top priority for the president. This is absolute top priority. But the timeline is fifth, the thing that's simply unclear. Wall Street, as it starts the morning, is trading higher. Dow was up 122 points yesterday, or 0.4% on stimulus hopes that a deal be reached. Today, all three benchmarks are trading higher. They're on their highest record highs since February 12th and September 2nd, respectively. The on and off COVID-19 stimulus negotiations are back, says CNBC. And in a tweet after the markets closed, Deputy Chief of Staff to Pelosi said Mnuchin made clear that President Donald Trump's quote, interest is in reaching such an agreement. Wall Street loved that. But David Faber, Jim Cramer, everyone on CNBC this morning said, Wall Street's a little skittish, as you and I are, because we've been told 4 different stories in upwards of 24 hours. The bottom line is Wall Street is being told the president wants a stimulus package. Second, Wall Street has been told that Mitch McConnell wants a stimulus package. Third, Wall Street's been told that Pelosi wants a stimulus package. So the only thing that is really unclear is when. As Cramer said, we don't know if we're doing a stimulus package today, or we don't know if we're doing a stimulus package tomorrow, David, and we don't know if a stimulus package is coming after the election or before the election. It's a little bit confusing, but we need a stimulus package and we need to get it done quickly. The fate of the presidential election may rest in the stimulus package. I have been reporting for weeks that the president's inability to get a stimulus package may ultimately cause his demise in the election. I had someone overnight tweet a series of comments, and let me respond to some of them because they're important for purposes of understanding things procedurally. First, one person said, the president's not responsible for getting your stimulus package. Oh, yes, he is. The reason why is that normally, in a normal universe, stimulus package negotiations would be done by representatives of Congress. And that's how it was done the first time around. You had people in the House and people in the Senate, Republicans in the Senate, Democrats in the Senate, and the same in the House and the same for both Republicans and Democrats, negotiating things, going to subcommittees, negotiating. That's how a bill becomes law. Well, the president didn't want that. He said, no, I'm going to have one person on behalf of my entire party, the Republican Party, and on behalf of all Republicans in the House and Senate negotiate for America. And his name is Steve Mnuchin. The president chose to be the single voice for negotiations. So ultimately, if the bill dies because of something that was done by Mnuchin, it is the president's fault. It is not the fault of the Congress. Let me rephrase that. I misspoke. Ultimately, the president took ownership of doing the negotiations, and so now he cannot blame anyone in not getting negotiations done between Nancy and Steve other than Nancy and Steve. There's no one else to blame. Second, someone said in a series of comments that the president does not have executive authority to do anything. Well, okay, first of all, that's untrue. And second of all, let me explain the following. The president does not have executive authority to take money out of Treasury and send that money out to the American people. I've been recording that for upwards of 3 weeks. The president does have executive authority to repurpose money that is not in Treasury for other purposes, for purposes of emergency aid. He has done it before. He did it with LWA. He took CARES Act 1 money that was sitting around, repurposed it over to FEMA and said, FEMA, you know what? Tell the states to come to apply for you for a thing called LWA, which I'm creating, and it will replace FPUC, and you can send that money out to the American people, and I'm not going to ask Congress's approval. And he did it, and it went forward, and people got their money. He can do that again for stimulus checks, for FPUC, for hazard pay, for all this money, so long as he has enough money sitting around. And how much money is it? That's also the incredible great news, which I detailed overnight. There's upwards of $500 billion I've been reporting for 4 weeks only on this channel. You're not going to hear it anywhere else on broadcast news or print media. And the president, 2 days ago, confirmed those numbers. Confirmed that there's $300 billion for stimulus checks and 200, he put it about $169 billion additionally sitting around. Those two sums of money, by my calculations, would cover stimulus checks, which is about $280. So it would cover stimulus checks and would cover FPUC, and will probably carry you FPUC all the way to December. This is incredibly great news as we start the new morning. Now, the important thing to understand is that Wall Street generally has its indications right. And if Wall Street's trading up, believing that there's a stimulus deal coming, they're generally right. They generally don't trade the wrong direction. The only case is when there's something that's completely wrong. Like they think there's going to be a China trade deal, and then, China blows up and says, no, we changed our mind, sorry, no deal. That's something Wall Street could not predict. But generally, if Wall Street is trading up on hopes that a stimulus package is going to get approved, they're generally right. And as I started this broadcast, my opinion is a stimulus package is going to get approved for you. The question is when. It really is when. Here are my opinions. And here is, again, this is just my opinion. Likelihood of a stimulus package deal in the next 48 hours, 0%. Chance of a stimulus package deal being reached in principle in the next 7 days, 50-50. It's 50-50. Chance of a stimulus package deal being approved by a law in the Senate that is now closed in the next week. Percentage of that, 10%. I just don't see Mitch opening the Senate. Now, the president can order Mitch to open the Senate, but I don't see Mitch opening the Senate for anyone right yet. Overnight, Mitch McConnell actually shaded, I don't want to say slam, but shaded the president and his reaction and his dealing with COVID on a personal level walking around the White House. Says he has not been to the White House since August because he doesn't agree with the president's approach to how to deal with COVID-19 walking around the White House. That's another way of saying, I'm not going in there, I'll just keep my mouth and we'll talk from afar, So if that's Mitch's opinion about how to operate a house or an office, then it's certainly different how he's going to run his Senate than how the president runs the White House. There is so much going on, and I don't even think I can get it in all in this recording. But what I want you to understand is stimulus checks, $1,200, independents, married couples, $2,400 checks. You're going to get that. Let me go over the deal terms again for the stimulus checks and the routing times, and then I'll get to some of your 2,200 questions, and I'll pick up the rest of this in 28 coming up at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time. First, deal amounts. $1,200 stimulus checks. Yeah, absolutely. $2,400 married couple. Absolutely. The things that you really need to push, Purple Power, family of this followers of this channel, Purple Power, you got to push that dependence check. It needs to be $1,200. The president and Nancy both have that $500 horrible number in their brain, and I don't know where it came from, and it's really quite bad. So you need to say, no. $1,200 dependent checks. Let's get it done. These are people on SSDI, SSI, Social Security, and railroad benefits who did not get a first stimulus check and need a stimulus check this time around. I hope you're still with me, because this is why you have to stay to the end of the video, because I'm going to go over routing times and the amount of checks and all that right now. So if you're on SSDI, SSI, and Social Security and railroad benefits, and you did not get a stimulus check, you would get one this time around from this president, from this Congress, but they're trying to push at $500. That's just not right. It should be $1,200. So Purple Power pushed that. Next, hazard pay. Oh, God. Really the hard push. I've been saying push Mitt Romney. Push Mitt Romney because he's the only one that has a standalone hazard pay bill that really works. Nancy took your hazard pay out. She took it out of this bill. Steve is never going to put hazard pay in it. It's not a Republican platform. They just don't want to do it. Going back to checks, would not be taken out for child support, would not be taken out for taxes or collections. And family of five, $1,200 each family member, if that's the number we get it at. Additionally, The remainder of this package does have other stuff that is really good. It has a hazard pay-ish type grant that is paid to essential workers. It has an EIDL grant. It has an EIDL loan with no cap, it appears. It has money for food and money for rent and eviction moratorium and mortgage forbearance and student loan debt repayment, holding off on that. All really good. But how about FPUC? Needs to be revised. Needs to be revised. Nancy and Steve are talking about retroactive to September 5th. What September 5th? Come on, folks. That doesn't fly. It doesn't fly, nor does it fly if it's on Mike Pence's hair. It doesn't fly. It needs to be retroactive to the date at which FPUC expired, which is late July. Additionally, the problem solvers proposed $450 for 8 weeks, and then 5 weeks at $600 thereafter. Why is Steve Mnuchin backwards? If he says he's supporting the problem solvers bill, why is he backwards at $400 a week? Steve, you need to be at the problem solvers bill. Nancy, you need to come down to the problem solvers bill. Done. Staying local, it's been a holdup, and it needs to drop at $300 billion and get it done, and it's called a day. Nancy's at 4, Steve's at 2 something, and it's really sort of crazy because Mark Meadows said he would agree, the president would agree to 3, because it's double 150. $300 billion would be the equivalent of 1 year of grant money for state and local to get through this pandemic. You can put guardrails on it, you can ensure that it's COVID-19 related, and we're done. It's as simple as that. It really is as simple as that. All my promises that I've always advocated with this channel are still in place. 1, if Mark Meadows wants to meet with me, I'll fly out to Washington, D.C. 2, I'll write the bill for them. 3, my Purple Power delegates are heating up like you can't imagine. So go on social media and go on Twitter. It's only on Twitter. And look for the hashtag. For example, if you're in Florida, it would be hashtag PFL space hashtag LALATE, and look for a delegate who is self-appointed that can help you with either your unemployment assistance or looking for grants in your area for food, stimulus, FPUC, all those type of things. Also, if you want to be a self-appointed delegate, all you have to do is start hashtagging with those hashtags and say, here I am, come and chat with me. Keep all information that is financially related in private, in DM. Don't post it online. Let me answer some of your 2,200 comments. I guess like 2 of them, because we're running long on this video. Kiana, President Trump, the American people just waited long enough for this help. The state of emergency sent out the $2,000. Julie Jorgensen, this must be how Charlie Brown feels when Lucy pulls the ball away every time. Randall Cousins, it needs to be $2,000 this month and $2,000 in December to help the economy. That's another point I forgot to mention. Nancy and Steve do 2 checks. Problem solvers have 2 checks. Why are you doing 1 check? Nancy, you are the epitome of never want to give people checks. And someone had this comment as well. Someone said, why, if Miss Harris is so wonderful, why did Nancy and Miss Harris not get it together and push multiple stimulus checks? Let me make that comment clear. First of all, Miss Harris and Mr. Sanders introduced the only bill that every viewer of this channel has ever endorsed, which is $2,000 every month for 6 months until the pandemic improves or unemployment goes down. It's a Senate bill, and it's a Senate Democratic bill. But ultimately, when the parties were negotiating between the Senate and the House, they do negotiate and they speak together. Nancy Pelosi, who's also Democrat, who's also from Mrs. Harris' state, said, we're not doing multiple stimulus checks. We're going to do 1 stimulus check. Nancy Pelosi, through this entire environment, has always wanted to give 1 stimulus check. I don't know why. She wants to give 3 years of bailouts to states, but 1 stimulus check. The president and his team also 1 stimulus check. It needs to stop. People need multiple stimulus checks. Republicans don't want to give multiple stimulus checks either. It needs to stop. William, if they don't send stimulus checks out in the northern states, a whole lot of homeless people are going to freeze to death and die. Okay. Boy, that's not a good one to start the morning on, but it's absolutely categorically true. Amy Lozano, it's great he has them back at the gym. Why just didn't he do executive order? And that's the Purple Power push. Go to the French channel, subscribe because there's so much developing this morning, and boy, we're still not done. It's a dark morning. It's really overcast. It's foggy. It's winter coming on very quickly, and even October. Also, like this video. Coming up next is 28. I will have breaking developments and more details about what's unfolding. It's all over the place, but the good news is back to the negotiations, back to getting this done. And Purple Power is on focus. As always, stay informed, stay focused, stay smiling, and stay with LA for more.